Hello and welcome back to a new video here on the Ludwig Fusel channel. Today we're going to continue on with our C++ expense calculator. Now in last video we have done the serialization, so what we basically can do is we can open up our file. I have done here manual file association with Windows so that I can double click my save file and I get the expenses.exe, and what I can do here is I can list it. You can see that there's already some data in here. I can add a new expense for some pizza, for example, like $8.99 or something like that. I can list that. I can save it back to the original file. I can exit it and it is serialized. Now, if I open this up again and list it, the expense is still in here, and that's the whole purpose. We have also inspected the binary file. Here you can see that it's in here. Here's the budget, here's the coin, here's the pizza, all nicely stored in the binary format. And yeah, that's where we want to now take off and now make this a bit more usable. Because as you can see, this is binary format, this is not very useful. What we want to do is we also want to be able to export this in a useful manner so that people can actually use it. For example, if you want to then later on transfer your expenses to Excel, I wanted that you kind of like do an export. We're not going to do an Excel export, we're going to do a so-called CSV export, and I want to do that. You can do an export CSV and have it exported. And what we also want to implement today is we do a export HTML, and we get both of them. We're going to get a format for them so that we can export it. All right, so without further talking, let's dive straight into the code and implement all the infrastructure that we need. All right, so first the command is called export, so we want to actually implement it. So else if command equals export. Now, if we're exporting, we need a few more arguments. So arguments.count need to be is equal to 1, and I'm directly going to check here if args at 0 equals CSV, then we're going to go to the CSV export, and else if args.0 equals HTML, we're going to do the HTML export, and if this doesn't work, we basically want to say stdc out usage export CSV HTML stdc out. All right, let's duplicate that line. Endl. It doesn't need to be C out, it needs to be endl. But I'm gonna first do the else style. I normally don't use this endl quite a while. Normally I use the \n, but yeah, I'm just trying to show this to you here the easy way, because if you're working with the console, endl is kind of fine, but yeah, for other things it's not. But that's a different story. All right, so now we just need to implement the different functions on our expense sheet. So we want to have a void export CSV, and we want to have a void export HTML to export them. We're not going to go as fancy and do interfaces, because interfaces in this case are just going to bring performance down, so we don't need that one. Expenses export CSV, and here Chattamule, or better to say HTML. Yeah. All right, so now the only thing we have to do is to implement these two functions, and we are done with the video. Haha, that's fast. No, but it's not. We're gonna get quite far with CSV data. I don't think that I can get some Excel running, so we should be able to get it up. All right, so let's do a CSV export. What is CSV? So first of all, I am a total idiot, because of course you need to provide a file for that, for all of this exporting stuff. So actually we do not need one, we need two arguments, and it's the file where we want to export to. And I've continuously ignored that throughout everywhere. So let's add the feature to that. std file system path. That's a const here. File. All right. I think I still have it in the clipboard. Yeah. Now again, do I want to replace extensions again? I think yes, but we're gonna do our xpath equals file, and auto path is gonna be xpath, and I like this, maybe do like xpath replace extension with dot CSV, comma separated value. This is for what CSV stands. If path, file name, and I think we can directly check if it's empty. We can do this in a single liner because it is doing this. So if not, that std file system, create directories path. We are good. Now std offstream file out is going to be std ios out, std ios truncate. However, this time it's not binary because it's human mutable. What the? There, let's write it like that. What is your problem? Yes, of course I need the of course. The XPath is missing again. If file out is open, then we do stuff. And now I want to do it properly, so let's return false as well. And let's return true here. And make this one a boolean. And since you are going to be based on the same code, boolean, and as many times as we have written that, we should have made a function for that, but I'm not going to make a function for like open file save with extension or whatever. That would be, it would be usable, right? Because we have this now 4 times, this type of stuff with different but different file modificators. However, we could. No, we're not going to do a function there. Sorry. File serialization is done. We want to export today and not serialize. Okay, now this is HTML. Like that. And now we just need to call it properly with args1. Args1. I think the other time we should have done this like that as well, but we had the replace extension in here. This is why it was not like that. Now, what is a CSV? CSV stands for comma separated value, which means that values are separated by commas or most of the time semicolons, because commas are kind of like used. So we want to do a CSV per semicolon separated, and normally what you do is you start with a header on a CSV file. The header is kind of like indicating what each of these things are. So we're going to have a position, a label, or actually let's call this one expense because it's the expense that we want to do, and then we're gonna have the value of the expense. This is kind of like the idea. I don't think we need something at the end, and what we then can do is for const auto or const entry reference e in my entries we do stuff, and since this exporting isn't changing anything, and that's why I should have made them const, can do this anyway. Now, why am I doing CSV export in the HTML version? Shall it go here? Alright, so now what I basically do for each entry, I'm going to do the same thing. The only difference is that we should have had a new line here, and since this is now a file, I would recommend to basically do your new line like that. That's the idea. Alright, file out. Now how do we want to do this? First entry dot. Now at first we have the position. We need to count so that we get the position. I want to start at 1 and the export. So I start at 1. You could also start at 0 and be fancy and do ++i so that you get a bit of more practice and more confusion in here. But yeah, label, and then the expense, the value. All right, and our friendly new line. Okay, because if you use stdendl on file streams, it always flushes to the disk. It should do this automatically whenever needed, but not forced with endl. All right, so this is basically CSV as we export. It's not quite complicated, and we can directly try out if it works. CSV files are not complicated. Now, we shouldn't have anything loaded, but I can open my, and then I can export. This shall not work. Yeah, I need to provide a file name and then export. So CS, comma separated value. Doesn't work because I need multiple of them. Let's call this on my, and it shall export this as my.csv. There it is. Can code display this properly? No. It's... But maybe we can find a CSV extension on the marketplace. Excel viewer. Your rainbow CSV. Highlight them. No. Edit CSV. No. Do you have more information on how this looks if you open this up? This is more on what I want to have. So let's install that extension. Let's see. Nice that you are... Can I open a preview? I can. But it is not correctly selecting that because CSV is normally comma separated and not semicolon separated, but normally Excel can. We can do it. Let's do a classical CSV then. I know that you can do it, however, I do not want it now. I don't have an Excel installed on that machine and I don't want to go through the hassle of getting that on an Excel instance and stuff. I should maybe even able to... Why can you not do this at hot reload? Now I need to type in 2 more lines. Load my, open my, export, CSV my, and now you can see it, position expense value. It is all summed up correctly and you can actually import this to Excel. And it would work like a charm. Yeah, that's basically the idea. Here, can I even filter? Here, filter by value, filter by condition, show items where the value is greater than 0. There we have it, our budget. It's less than 0. And you know, we have expenses. So we have kind of like a format that we have exported out of our system that we can work with. Good. Next step, do a HTML export. HTML export is more fun, but also more complicated because HTML looks good. Now, how do you do HTML? You do it styled with Bootstrap. Bootstrap, it's amazing. You can style it. I want to go to the docs. There are starter template. They have CDNs. And we can basically start with that one and implement HTML in here. All right, so how do we do HTML? Now, this is getting interesting because basically what we need to do is we need to start with some static HTML data. So basically I want to output something, and what I want to output is a raw string. And a raw string looks like that. And basically inside of a raw string, you can do quotation marks. And basically the idea is that we can put in the HTML here. Now, I might wanna move this here, even through like this is now. The problem is if it's not on the left, it's not. I wanna put this on the left so that it doesn't have the tabs in the string itself. And normally, what you would also want to do is like that. You would do it like that. Now, basically, what I need to do is I now need to separate this into 2 parts. Now, first of all, I need the title here. I basically can stop the raw string and then restart the raw string, and in between provide my path so that we kind of like have a path. I think if I do a file name, I do just get the file name, and then I can just get the normal string, and then we basically just have the file name, which we basically exported. And then basically what I want to do is I want to break up the HTML here, and then basically go into that for loop. And now, of course, you need to format stuff around, but I don't want you to format stuff around. And then somewhere down here, we want to start our raw string again and append this to the file out again. And do not do that. Keep it where I put it. This is looking ugly. But I can't really change that it looks ugly, otherwise the final HTML will look ugly. which would be more tolerable. However, maybe we do need to tolerate that the HTML looks bad, because I kind of like regret the decision. Yeah, looks better. Okay, so now we have kind of like the begin and end of our HTML. Now the only thing left to do is we need to do our loop. How do we do our loop? We can steal it, but the idea, what comes inside of the loop, is different. What does come into the loop? I want to do a table, so actually what I do, I still need to modify that HTML again. And let's... yeah, it's replacing this all with spaces. Now, Bootstrap, I want to have a navbar. I want to have a navbar because I want to quickly see how it looks. So what I want to have is a most minimal navbar with just a brand, and the brand is a text without a link. That is basically what I want to have in here. Let's then put 2, 1, 2, 2, and there we go. Now this is expenses off, and then we need a name. So let's terminate the raw string here again, and let's start the raw string. How was I doing the raw string? Other way around, right? But why do you... I mean, yeah. Okay, yeah, I see. And then we can provide empath file name.string again. Now we have the nav in here. Now I want to have my container. How do they work? I think we do want to provide a bit of a padding. Now inside of the container stuff will go, so... close the div here. And I want to have a empty of 2, margin top of 2, I think was the property called. And then I want to have a card. A card is basically something where we can put in text. I want to have the most simple card that we can get. And let's put in the card. 1, 2. Like that. Come on. Don't ask. Oh, you duplicated that one. Interesting. Let's put in the card here, an HTML card. I mean, this is not an HTML tutorial, but I think if you are a C++ developer, you probably have seen HTML in your life. That's just assuming that currently, but yeah. Table. How do tables work? So table t-head, that is what I basically want to do, and then I want to do the t-body, and then we are at the loop. Okay. So paste this in here. 1, 2. Like that. Go call. This is the position. Actually, hashtag is also fine. Let's maybe put this as a hashtag in here. Then we have the expense. Then we're gonna have the value at some point. Value. Oh, we have the table body. Now the t-body also needs to end somewhere. I think we just had... do I already close the diffs of the card? Container. Body, nav, container. Div, 3 divs. I only close 2. That's not good. Let's close 3 divs. And then let's close, I think this is the table. And we close the t-body. And somehow this does not line up. Diff, diff, diff. Diff, diff, diff. Table. Yeah, because this is one indent to less. Now we are talking. Now it's good. Because that diff is at the same level in the script. Now this is good. I do want to have hovered. Or maybe let's first... let's first add that one in the loop. So file out will basically emit a tr /tr. Do I want to have raw strings here as well? I think yes, because we are using we're just using one scope, so this is also fine. We can also do that one with the backslash if we just have one of these th. Then we're gonna have a, let's see, index plus index. Then we have it like that. The other ones are just TDs, yeah, TD. So TD /TD. Then we're gonna put in the E label, TD /TD, E dot value. So maybe let's separate them so that they are a bit more separated, and I do like that style better. Like that, a bit more nicely organized. And maybe we want to provide a new line there as well. Or not? I know, maybe not. 1, 2, and no new line, then this should also be nicely organized, all clumped together. And that is actually everything that we need for an HTML export, at least for basic one. I'm gonna do a few more things that I like. I could do this here on the page. Hoverable ho rows. Table, hover. That's nice. Hovering is nice. That's why I want to have this. So it's striped. Can we do some stripe? But I don't want to have stripes. I think it's actually okay. I do want to maybe at the end also compute the total amount. So maybe I want to have a P total. And then I want to have maybe the text. So close a quotation mark, raw, like that. And we can print in the eval result. And maybe we want to put in a class here to make this a bit bigger. Font weight, and italc. I actually want to have this font size here. There it is. FS3. That's what I want to have. FS3. So total at the end. And then we're going to later on put a bit of color in here, but that's going to take a bit more of our time until we can get a bit of color in. But our HTML is colorful, so we want to have color. Let's see. Let's see if you compile, my friend, or if I have something wrong with my string somewhere. No. So open my export HTML my, and done. And we shall now be greeted with a my.html and okay. That is not looking too bad, but also not looking too good. First of all, as I can see, the table works. I can hover over it. The total is computed. I mean, we don't have units. That's the problem. Expense is also called my. The tab is called my. Maybe I want to call that tab then with the complete file name, actually. That's something that I might want to call. So the whole... lol. Empath? I don't care. Let's just call that one expenses. And the problem that I have is that this is all too light. I hate everything that's white. We want to have dark mode here. Can I make the whole HTML? HTML, yeah. I want to do it on HTML. Come on, where's my HTML? Where can I toggle my whole HTML? HTML lang. Data BS theme dark. That's what I want to do. That's what we're talking. Can I maybe at this point hot reload that? Why can I not hot reload that? I'm not even in that code section. Just recompile that file, recompile that function, and I hate it. Why, Visual Studio? Why? Why do you add a hot reload feature if you can't? Just do every function, or because I'm on release. Yeah, that makes sense that I can't do it on release. Export HTML my. There we go. That looks better. Expenses. You can see that this is a bit of striped and looking a bit ugly. This is because of RDP. Yeah, and it's not your eyes that are playing you the stuff. This is RDP. But that's what I want. I want to have the expenses here nicely in HTML. Now I just want to make this value here green if it's good and red if it's bad. How can we do that? Well, the idea is to add a class or a text color. Text color. Font color. Or just colors. Text danger and text success emphasis. I think I want to have success text success emphasis. So we wanna maybe write a function for that because this is complicated. Not too complicated, but it's better to write a function for that. Private std string text class double value. We can make this inline. Text class double value. So we can return value bigger equals 0 question mark text success. The other voice is text danger, I think. Yeah, text. Or maybe we want to use also text danger emphasis there as well. It looks not that looks not too red. So text HTML class makes this a bit more meaningful. Let's copy that over. And let's add it in here. So how do we add that one? Stop and restart the raw string. This is not a raw string, but we do not need a raw string. But I have all of it raw strings. Now let's make that one a raw string as well. Like that. That's completely uniform. Next HTML class from eval. Now we are calling eval twice. What the hell? Of course. Static. We don't need that one to be bound to the instance. Okay. I think I want to have the values in the class as well. So class equals text HTML class of e.value, and now this should be it. It should now give us some nicely colored in HTML. All right, open my, and then export HTML my. Refresh the HTML file, and these are good, but that one is not. Okay, so what has gone wrong down there? Class. So, okay, see, quotation mark missing. That's quotation mark. I should have switched to debug so that I can hot reload code, because this is something that's really hot reloadable. Open my save, no, export HTML my. This should give us proper total value. So all is nicely seen here. Now let's make a big charge here. Big S, because it's no big. I don't need to be too rude. 150. Now we should be negative. And if we refresh, we have a negative charge and we have a total. We could even try to solve a few of our money problems by adding the grandma in again, but Granny is not that rich. So she couldn't really help us. We still have less money. Sadly. But it's a nice thing, right? It works. It works. We can export that. It's nice. And that's actually it for today's video. We can now use the expense calculator to export in the CSV and HTML format. And the HTML should even look good, except that spacing here, but it's kind of good. And yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video, and yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. Have a nice day. Bye.